Good morning and welcome to NewsDesk. We're live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. Across all our social media handles, we are Joe News on TV. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, Ghana National Fire Service begins investigations into the cause of fire at Circle ECOMOG, which has left hundreds of squatters homeless. We're live on the grounds as victims count their loss.
There we see fire is burning. Then told me that one of girl was cooking inside the room, was using gas. Okay. Where he forget that he was cooking.
Also in this bulletin, Ghana Meteorological Agency predicts increased rainfall and strong winds in coming weeks, particularly in the northern zone. Also in this bulletin, Joy News gets results as the silting of drains begins in Kumasi following the airing of our filth exhibition series. I'm Faustina Safo. Take a seat. Be my guest. The Ghana National Fire Service has begun investigations into a fire incident that has left hundreds of squatters at a den called ECOMOG in Circle homeless. An inferno on Wednesday raised makeshift stalls, and the second of such incidents in just 2 years. That is it. Now we'll hear from the fire officials in a bit, but first here's a report by my colleague Michael Ashali.
Ashes blanketed the ground, while scattered flames flickered amidst the charred remains. Smoke hung heavy in the air, as remnants of the fire that razed more than 100 structures at a place popularly called ECOMOG near Circle Bus Terminal in Accra remained visible. Thomas was there when it all started.
We are there, we see fire is burning. Then told me that one of girl was cooking inside the room, was using gas. Where he forget that he was cooking. Okay. Then the fire got. Okay. It be that I hear from the girls.
Previously living on the edge in an unsanctioned area, these squatters are now homeless after the fire razed their makeshift stalls.
I have a lot, my fridge, my things, and my money too.
Zara James is a Nigerian. She came to Ghana to make ends meet, but has lost it all to the inferno. How much was in there?
31 million.
31 million Ghana cedis, yes. Or just 3,100 cedis?
3,100 cedis.
Interesting. And what was that money to you?
It means a lot, but I don't have anything to say.
So you came to Ghana for what exactly?
To hustle, make money, and make my family proud.
How does this make you feel?
Heartbroken.
What are you going to do now?
I don't have any option.
Dennis Anthony has called this place home for just 7 months, forced to settle here after enduring a significant setback in life.
Oh, I've been here just only 7 months here. I've been here just only months. I couldn't take any of my things. By the time I came back, I went to work, I came back. My place was already burned out. It has reached different place. So as you are looking at me right now, I don't even have anything to wear. It's only this my down that I'm wearing. Yeah. The reason why we are staying here is just for the me time. You know, we are always also to save money and all that things. But someone will be at the back saying this because he is not living here, and he's even living in a better place in a good condition. So because we don't have any place to go, we also come to shelter for here to save money and other things.
For nearly 4 hours and at least 5 fire tenders, personnel from the Ghana National Fire Service managed to bring the fire under control. Assistant Division Officer of the PR Department of the Fire Service, ADO1 Alex Kinati says investigations will commence shortly.
The cause is not readily known yet. there might be different factors or causes of the fire. It could be illegal connection, it could be unattended cooking, it could even be arson as a result of territorial conflict. So we can't pinpoint for now. Once we are done, we'll do what we call salvaging in our investigation, and then we should be able to come up with a conclusive investigation at the end of the day.
Fire outbreaks here have become a regular occurrence. In February 2022, flames razed all the stalls in the area. The mayor of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly and the MCE for Korle Klottey inspected the site and ordered for all squatters to be evicted.
We do not want to see any structure, any activity going on here.
We advise them to immediately look for alternative places and move to.
That order was flouted. For many of them, it's back to square one. After struggling to find shelter with their meager earnings, they have lost everything to the fire. They remain hopeful and are pleading for help.
But we are praying, hoping government should help us. That is the only thing I have to say.
Okay, great. But I didn't ask you, what really do you do here whilst you are trying to hustle?
I don't have anything at all. I don't have anything left, but I have God.
I mean, the question I want to ask the government is that, is it going to still continue letting people stay in here?
As the smoke clears and the extent of their losses sink in, the immediate challenge for many is finding shelter under the looming rain clouds and securing their next meal.
What they want right now is for government to come to their aid. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
Well, thankfully, we have a member of the PR team of the Ghana National Fire Service in the studio, AD1 Alex Nate. Thank you for your time here on Newsdesk. Now, this is the second major fire at ECOMOG in just 2 years. What specific measures has the Ghana National Fire Service put in place since the first incident happened?
Okay, so good morning and thanks for having me. It's a worrying trend, these fires at areas like that. As a service, we can only do our part by one, educating the public about the dangers of fires and how best they can protect themselves and how to manage the fires when it starts at the incipient stage. We can only also come up with our reports and submit it to the assemblies to take action based on our reports and recommendations. So that's as far as we can go. And so it's a two-way street. We've done our part. So I guess this question also goes to the other side of the conversation so that we'll be able to get the answer.
But what are details of the first report after the first fire incident at ECOMOG?
Well, so we don't normally make our reports findings open because every area is under a municipal assembly, or in every market, for instance, is under an assembly, or if it's your house that's affected, we do the report and submit it to you. So we submit our reports to the owners or the custodians of these institutions. So I might not be at liberty to share details of such reports here.
There are always concerns about the response time of the Ghana National Fire Service. Is there a shortage in personnel or equipment?
I'll go for the latter, equipment. But that's in reference to the circle fire, for instance. If they say that we responded late, that's a big no. That's a big, and it's verifiable. You know, we got a call at 5:38 or 17:38 hours. And immediately we received a call. We have a station at Circle, just under the overhead. So within 5 minutes, at 17:42 or 43, they arrived at the scene. I started even doing a Facebook Live, and by the time I was doing a Facebook Live, 3 of our fire attendants were already there fighting a fire. And I even got there before 6. So what are they talking about that we came there at 7 or at 8? We were able to put the fire under control at 8:28 or 20:28 hours. So it's very unfortunate and preposterous for them to draw conclusions that we came at 7, we came at 8. It's very unfortunate.
What are the challenges you're facing when it comes to the lack of equipment?
Okay, so as we've always said, our equipments are aged. You know, 15 years and counting. Government has made a promise to retool us with some new fire tenders. We know procurement processes are underway, but it's our worry that if there are any further delays in the procurement process, we don't know what we might encounter, because yesterday's fire, for instance, we directed 5 fire tenders to the scene. We couldn't have directed much more because we don't have enough fire tenders left. So once we divert, we bring in about 9 or 8 fire tenders, then it means that if there's any other fire anywhere, we'll be lacking. Because as at that time, there was another fire at Dansoman Control yesterday at the same time when this fire was happening. And before that, there was fire at Legon, and then there was fire also at Wager. So you can imagine that we are constrained. So we have to be very creative in being able to allocate our fire tenders to attend to fire needs. So that's why we keep calling that we need retooling. The fire at Wager, for instance, it's regrettable to say that when we received the call, our team at Wager were dispatched to the scene. Upon on their way going to the fire scene, the appliance broke down. So they couldn't even get to the fire scene. So we had to now call on Kaswa to now proceed to the scene, call on Anya to go augment, and then call Budumburam to go, all these 3 tenders. So imagine, in the absence of all these 3 tenders, if there was any fire within that area, which appliance would have attended to it?
Paint the picture for us. Let's understand how many fire tenders we have currently in Accra.
So I might not be able to give an accurate figure because fire tenders keep breaking down, and we try our best to fix them. The ones that we are not able to fix, probably because we don't have the parts. Mind you, the parts are custom made. The appliances are custom made. They are not appliances that are on the markets that you can go and buy, like any Toyota or Land Cruiser that you can just go and buy. You need to send your specification to the suppliers so that they design an appliance based on your needs. So it takes time. So once the process is not started early, then it means we are lacking behind. So I can mention some areas without fire tenders and how alarming it is. Dodowa, for instance, there's no fire tender. The fire tender has been out of commission for some months now. So whenever there's fire at Dodowa, the appliance moves from Ponkatamanso to go there. The alarming one is that from Achimota to Nsawumi, there's no functional fire tender there as of now. The fire tender at Amasaman is out of commission. Fire tender at Ajin Kotoku is out of commission. So if there's any fire at Amasaman, probably Pobiman Tobooth, the appliance would have to move all the way from Anya Market to go there. If there's fire at Nsawumi, the appliance will move all the way from Suhum to go there. On the stretch from Ayi Mensa all through to Ikropon, Ikrapim, Mampong, Okre, there's just one fire tender taking care of that whole stretch from Ayi Mensa all the way to Okre. So it's a devastating situation. And imagine, as we were fighting the fire at Circle, if there was any similar incident happening anywhere which required more tenders, they would have had to call tenders all the way from Tema to come and augment. As of now, even the fire tender at Spintex, the whole of Spintex, is out of commission. So if there's any fire at Spintex, the appliance will move from motorway. That same motorway appliance is responding to fires at Ashaman, because Ashaman's tender is also out of commission.
This is a bigger problem than we anticipated, and that is just for the Greater Accra region.
Exactly.
Not talk about other regions that are battling with the issue. How many fire tenders are you expecting from government?
Well, it's a process, and it will come in, per the information I have, it's supposed to come in trenches. So that one, I think it's still being discussed, so I might not be able to share that information here. But what the service initially tried to do was to procure what we call rapid intervention vehicles. Those are much smaller vehicles that could quickly attend to fire scenes. So it's, again, behoves on assemblies to do more to set up fire stations in their area. Look at a big area like Domekwabenya, one of the biggest constituencies in Accra. There's no fire station there. Look at a place like East Legon, with all the rich people at East Legon, Trazaku, and all those areas. There's no single fire station there. So if there's fire at Trazaku, or East Legon, or School Junction, or Adringano, or East Legon Hills, the plans to move either from University of Ghana or Adenta to go there. That's how bad the situation is. So it's as a people, we always put priorities on security, much more than safety. You sit in this chair, and maybe I don't know, but have you ever? When was the last time you ever had any presentation to the Ghana National Fire Service, be it from government or from corporate individuals or organizations? Never. But yet still, Fire Service is the only organization that serves almost every aspect of society. So then why are we not being supported? Because if people can come together, if someone knows any fire tender has any alliance with a fire station outside, they could talk to them to donate some of their firefighting equipment to us. You know, because at the end of the day, once we get the fire tenders, I won't pack them in my house. Our chief officer won't pack them in his house. It is packed at the station to serve the people. So then why are people not helping us with our calls for us to be better resourced?
Thank you. Stay with me, because let me take you now to Rejoice Semefakpe. So she's on the grounds. She's been interacting with affected victims at ECOMOG Circle, and they've been counting their loss. Let's listen to her.
This is Circle ECOMOG, where fire raised down hundreds of structures yesterday. Now, many parts of Accra remain in darkness due to the fire outbreak, because this lane have a number of high-tension electric poles here. So the fire outbreak affected the cables. So this morning we are here and residents have been speaking. They told us that they have to sleep in the open. I spoke to one woman with twin babies. They slept in the open yesterday without a cover cloth. We have grid co officers on the ground. They are doing the assessment, and they would only speak to the news team after the assessment. So we would be waiting to take what they have been able to find and what the solution is. But we have the regional minister also coming through. He has been saying that from henceforth they wouldn't allow anybody to raise structures over here again. They are going to condone the place, and they will get anyone who will attempt raising structures here arrested. We also have the Accra mayor passing through, and they have assured that they wouldn't allow anybody to raise structures here again. But one other thing that came up is that they won't find an alternative place for these victims, because the government doesn't have the means and the resources to do so. They should be able to get an alternative place with the monies that they have saved if they are business people. So these are the words of the regional minister this morning.
Now we'll bring you the conversation she had with the regional minister shortly, but I still have Alex Kinate in the studio. Now the residents are already counting their loss in tight areas like ECOMOG Circle, where there are slums around. How do you manage fire in areas such as that?
It's a big headache. It's a big headache for us, because accessibility was curtailed while we're fighting fires. I personally even had to park my car at Caterpillar and walk all the way to the fire scene. Our appliances had to park at STC yard and then lay a hose over the wall to be able to get there. That's how bad the situation was. And even with replenishing during firefighting, it was a challenge, because I can bet you that we had fire hydrants there, and people would have encroached on them. So then, imagine fighting a fire here and moving all the way to January to go and replenish before you go back. You know, so being in traffic, moving from there to come to January to replenish, being in traffic again, going back to the fire scene, and even with this place, you can't even get access through. So one thing in fire service, we always say perform magic. So because we always seem to execute our responsibilities always, people think we are okay, but we are not okay.
I'll come back to that conversation because it's quite key. The regional minister has been speaking to my colleague Rejoice Semefakpe, so let's listen in.
Exactly 22nd of February 2022, there was a similar fire incident here that gutted all over the place, thinking that we'll learn lessons out of this. This morning coming here, you see the grid code transmission lines, a national asset. This fire that gutted the place, if it affected any of the lines, we're all gone. And I'm so sad that human beings are living under these pylons at the peril of their lives. It's unfortunate that they are living here under their circumstance, but I've instructed that nobody should live here anymore. Nobody. And we mean it. Because as regional minister and the regional security council, it is our duty to protect every life and property. So a gentleman, he said he's a chief around here. And I've told him that I'm pleading with him. We don't want these things to continue. We don't want any third fire. Therefore, they should prepare and leave. We'll make sure we put men on the ground to make sure nobody, and I mean nobody, lives here. I mean my words. And anybody who try to rebuild will arrest the person and send him to court. That is the only instructions and the only advice that we can share with them. We share in their pain and their agony. But the most sad part of it is that I'm told here is like a red light where women naked themselves. All kinds of funny behaviors here. It is unacceptable. This is totally unacceptable. We cannot do this. They are an empire, a zone in the region doing what kind of things they like. This should not happen. In this present regional coordinating council, under my watch and leadership, we'll make sure these indiscipline are stopped.
Greater Accra Regional Minister New Titus Glover there giving updates on the situation. He says the squatters would have to leave that area because this is the second time it's happening in 2 years. I know you've launched investigations into actually what triggered the fire. What's updates on that? Okay, so with fires like this, a lot goes into determining the cause of fire. Believe it or not, it can take weeks to even come up with a conclusive report. So I wouldn't want to preempt. But then investigations, obviously, you see our men on the ground, so investigations has commenced, and we'll make sure that, obviously, we can't put the findings out there unless, of course, the assembly involved decides to put it out there on their own. But as a service, we can put it out there. So we'll do our part, we'll do a thorough investigation, and then we'll see the way forward. Finally, before I let you go, paint a national picture for us, because we know we're struggling with logistics and equipment. We've painted the picture for the Greater Accra region. How about other regions? Are we well resourced? It's worse in other regions. It's worse in other regions, and we are hoping that until people who are affected or the larger community, all put in the effort or the pressure that resource the fire service, or take their security or take their safety into their hands, we'll be lacking behind. It's a woeful situation that we are facing. It's a very woeful situation that we are facing. Looking at a growing place like Amasaman, Ajenkotoku, and Sawim, all being without a fire tender. Even at Achimota, there's no fire tender. Abelempi, that we have a station, it's out of commission. And Abelempi serves the whole of airport and serves the whole of Achimota, La Paz. So if there's any fire at even Akwiteman, there are plans to move from Anya Market to go there. We are sitting on a time bomb as a nation, and we know elections are coming up, and we know how people find different ways to protest their displeasure about things, and some people might even end up setting fires. So we are fast nearing elections, and we are not. I'm not a doomsayer, but trust me, if the question. As an officer, I keep asking myself is that the situation we had on June 3rd, if we should have that situation again today, are we as a service? We have committed officers. I won't take it away from them. We have committed officers, so they make do with the little that they have at the peril of their lives. We don't have, and this one big thing, we don't have any insurance. The whole fire service team members. So if you go and you get injured, what we have is what every government worker has, workman's compensation. So when you get injured at the scene of fire, you go at your own expense, and then you later submit receipts for reimbursement. So if you don't have any money to take care of yourself. The problem is bigger than anticipated, but we'll be monitoring the situation because we want to keep an eye on it. Second time happening in 2 years is unacceptable. We've been speaking to a member of the PR team for the Ghana National Fire Service, Alex Kignate, giving us updates on that ECOMOG Fire incident that happened just yesterday. Well, the deputy ranking on Parliament's Lands and Foreign Forestry Committee has criticized government's Green Ghana project, describing it as inadequate in terms of the approach. It also says that it is lacking transparency and minimal impact on the environment. Al-Hassan Suhini says the campaign fails to address the conservation of forest reserves, while arguing that planting seedlings once a year is simply not enough to combat deforestation and address climate change. Well, thankfully, he joins us via phone with further details. Thank you for your time here on Newsdesk. Now, you've been criticizing government's Green Ghana project for its minimal impact on the environment. Can you provide us with specifics, examples, data that illustrates how this project has failed?
Thank you very much, Fosti. Good morning to your viewers and listeners as well. Government began this program in 2021. It was launched by the minister somewhere in June, I think, 2021. And the intention, as outlined by the minister, was for this project to be largely funded by the private sector. So a team was even put together to see to the raising of funds for the promotion of planting of seedlings, as it was dubbed trees, every year. And so a number of trees, I think about 5 million was proposed to be planted in the first year. The second year, they increased it to 10 million. In the third year, they increased it to 10 million again. Now, over the years, what we have noticed is that every year, the procurement processes that lead to the supply of these seedlings are shrouded in secrecy. And our, interactions with people in the industry show that these are sometimes just offered like confetti to party apparatchiks in the various, districts and regions to supply the seedlings at unverifiably high prices. And these seedlings sometimes after even the day, and you can go round after tomorrow and see, are left at the various district assembly offices and at the various forestry district offices, unclaimed, unplanted, and just wasting away till another year. And so the claim that the number of them have survived is not backed by data at all. The last time the ministry appeared before the Lands and Forestry Committee in Parliament, we requested for the verification of the trees that they claim they have planted and how many of them have survived. Up till today, the district, the chief director of the ministry is yet to supply the committee with that verifiable information of survival rate of these trees. And yet, every year, millions and millions of Ghana seeds is pumped into that. Only last year, the Seedlings Suppliers Association in Ashanti region did a press conference and revealed that they were owed to the tune of about 2.8 million Ghana cedis, by the Forestry Commission as a result of their supply of seedlings to this Green Ghana project. Now, what is even worse, my sister, is that you have a situation where the government is claiming to be promoting the planting of seedlings in this manner that is not transparent and that is shrouded in a lot of corruption or procurement-related corruption. And yet this same government, through its policies, is championing the destruction of our forests. For example, if you look at LI 2462, promoted by the Environmental Protection Agency, supported by the Ministry of Environment, it outlines modalities as to how to mine in forest reserves. I mean, you have not successfully planted trees to make the country green enough, and yet you are promoting legislation that allows for the destruction of forest reserves that you have come to meet. Because no mining can effectively take place in a forest, reserve without compromising the integrity of the forest and the integrity of biodiversity in the forest as well. And yes, you have a government promoting legislation to allow for mining in forest reserves. You also have a government, through the president, issue an executive fiat to declassify over 360 acres of the Achimota forest land. One would have thought that with a project like this, even if we had part of the Achimota forest land being depleted of trees, you would have been targeting those reserves to reclaim those lands with these plants, plant there and nurture them in a controlled environment, so that you are conserving and promoting the gains that we get from some of these forest reserves, and not, through executive instruments, declassify forest reserves, sell the lands to your cronies and private developers, and then also allow your cronies to mine in forest reserves like the Tano Nimrimi forest, where the Akunta mining belonging to a regional party chairman is there busily mining, and yet the president says that he has done nothing wrong. And then you also have the case of the promotion of mining in forest reserve through the EPA legislative instrument 2462, and pretentiously engage in this planting of trees every year. That only, evidence shows, allow for procurement-related corruption in the area of seedling supplies and paraphernalia printing.
You're making allegations we can't prove, but you mentioned lack of transparency in the Green Ghana project. Elaborate on the areas where you feel this transparency is missing.
Clearly, the ministry is unable to supply us with the processes that are used to contract seedling suppliers.
Now,
and in some cases, what we have is that people who are not engaged in seedling growing at all, are offered these contracts. And they then go and approach seedling growers to give the supplies, to do the supplies for them. And every year, the transaction or the expenditure they bring for Green Ghana is in the millions of Ghana cedis. And yet, how procurements are done is not known, not even to members of the committee. And that is a clear example of how, this is not transparently done. And again, when you come to accountability of the number of trees planted, it is not transparently done. The ministry comes to announce figures that they are not able to support with any verifiable evidence. So they tell you 10 million trees have been planted. There's no evidence of how those 10 million trees have been planted, where they are planted, who is responsible for nurturing them. No structure in place to check all of that.
Finally, before I let you go, your critic of this Green Ghana project, he also highlights that there are inadequate efforts towards conserving forest reserves. Now, what concrete steps do you feel government should take to help in this regard?
So to conserve forest reserve, for example, you will not have a president issue an executive instrument, EI 144, to declassify the Achimota forest. Because when you do that, you allow for encroachment, you promote encroachment and development that threaten the integrity of the remaining forest. And you are talking about a declassification of almost half of the forest reserve, 360 acres of land declassified. And now, sold to party apparatchiks and private developers to put up structures that will compromise the integrity of the remaining forest. So that is not a concrete step towards the conservation of forest reserves. One would have thought that even if you were going to engage in a project such as Green Ghana, you would have targeted some of the forest reserves that are depleted when it comes to the forest cover. So you go into the forest reserve and plant some of the economic trees that we have all come to realize can be beneficial to us in some of these areas, forest reserve areas that are lacking trees, like in the case of the Tamale Timber Market. So you claim that that area has been used for trading, and so you sell it to a private developer to put up some structures there. Why don't you rather target, that land, reclaim that land, find a way of growing trees that are economically beneficial to the community, and also trees that will lead to the promotion of good quality air in the city. I mean, instead of just, declassifying and selling it to private developers to put it to other uses. That is not a good way to conserve existing forest reserves.
Now, you're the Deputy Ranking Member on Parliament's Lands and Forestry Committee. When the House reconvenes, do you plan to put this before the House so that we could look at measures to deal with the concerns you've raised?
Absolutely. I'm going to do that when the House reconvenes.
Thank you for your time here on News Desk. Al-Hassan Zuhini is Deputy Ranking Member on Parliament's Lands Committee in the House. Thank you for your time. Now, the Ghana Meteorological Agency is cautioning the public to be on high alert as its forecast suggests that there would be increased rainfall and strong winds in coming weeks. Now, particularly in the northern zone. Now, during the National Workshop on Floods and Drought Early Warning organized by the Water Resources Commission in Accra, a senior meteorologist and public weather officer, Joshua Asamoah, said the positive aspects behind the occurrence is that the strong winds accompanying the rains will reduce the possibility of flooding in many localities. Rejoice Semefakpesu has more in this report.
The workshop was organized to share and improve the results of floods and drought simulation in the Volta Basin. Key amongst issues discussed is the early warning systems, which keep stakeholders to put in place measures to reduce the impact of flooding and drought in communities, especially those along the Volta Basin that experience sea level flood situations. It is against this backdrop that the Ghana Meteorological Agency is warning the public to exercise precaution as there will be more rains accompanied by strong winds in the coming months. Joshua Asamoah is a senior meteorologist at the Public Weather Office.
During the start of the year, when the seasonal, even before the seasonal forecast was sent out, we communicated that the start of the season, the onset of the rainfall season, will be characterized by strong winds accompanied by the rainfall. The good thing is that, well, it has its positive and negative aspects. When the strong winds come along with the heavy rainfall, you have a lot of tree falling and all of that, and it also comes with its havoc. But the rainfall accompanying that heavy windstorm, that's not really, the accumulation is not that high. So anytime you have strong winds accompanying rainfall, the amount of rain that come with it is a bit lower. But when the rains come with little wind, they are able to stay for a long period of time, pour for a long period of time. A typical example is what happened in June 3rd, 2015. The good news is that most of the strong winds that we'll be seeing in the year for the southern parts of the country, we've already been seeing them because we are now going into the peak of the rainfall season. During the peak, they are not really accompanied by that heavy winds. Till we get to July, thereabout. Then we'll get a break somewhere in August. We'll be getting the cloudy conditions. In September, October, and November, we'll go back to another season for southern Ghana, which will also come with that strong winds and then the heavy rainfall. But for people in the northern portions, they are now going to experience that strong winds because they are now going into their rainfall season. So the best thing to do is that the moment you see signs of rainfall, the best thing is to get a shelter. People are really, I think whenever they see clouds gathering, they want to rush and get to their homes. Sometimes even school children are left to go home when they see clouds gathering. It's the worst decision you can ever take. So just keep them in a place where you think they are safe. The event should happen. When it is done, you can now release them to go. Flowing water has a very good strength to carry anything that comes in its path. So you see your car being washed away by running water.
Principal Officer for Monitoring at the Water Resources Commission, Eric Mwala.
Let's do some sports now. And Ghana's senior national team, the Black Stars, will later today face Mali in the World Cup qualifier in Bamako. Well, Coach Otuado has assembled a squad he believes can scale the hurdle. Let's get more on this. We've been joined by Haruna Mubarak with Joy Sports. What are our chances, really?
Well, it's a crucial match. It's beyond just the 3 points because, first of all, Ghana is in 5th in Group I at the moment. We've got a game to play that is against Mali tonight. So a win in tonight's game will see us leapfrog teams like Central African Republic, teams like Madagascar to the 2nd position. But if we lose, it's going to really be Ghana will leave Ghana in a precarious position because win is crucial. Win is crucial. Comoros are on top of the group. They've got 6 points. So this game is very, very difficult. Now you put that game aside and you look at the players who Otuado has named in the 26-man squad. There are some players who have to perform up to the mark to be able to impress him because he's building a team. Remember, in this 26-man squad, the captain, Andre Ayew, is not part of the squad. So it tells you that he's
We're coming to that. Our formation, is it strong enough?
Well, it's very difficult to tell. Otuado, he keeps his things close to his chest. It's very difficult to predict how the Black Stars will line up against Mali tonight. But what we know is that there are no injury concerns in camp. All the 26 players trained, including Thomas Partey, the likes of Antoine Semenyo, Kamaldeen, Abdul Fattah Issahaku, Mohamed Kudus, the poster boy of the team. They've all trained. They are all fit for the game today. Thomas Partey spoke at the presser and he says his experience will lead the team to victory. He's very confident that he can inspire the boys. Otuado also says he's got a plan that he'll be able to use to exploit the Malian national team. The Malian national team, they are a very difficult side. When you look at their record, in the last 13 matches, they've lost just a game. And that game was against eventual winners of the Africa Cup of Nations, that is Ivory Coast. So, yeah, Ghana, we stand really against a very, very difficult opposition.
Let's look at the new boys on the team and what they bring on the table.
Well, this current setup has got just 2 debutants. Talk about Thomas Asante, who plays for West Brom, and then Ibrahim, who plays for Cagliari. So these 2 players are the debutants in the 26-man squad. But we don't really expect them to start in tonight's game because there are others who are a bit more experienced. This is a big game, of course. So I don't really want to make any try and error. He's going to parade his best men to get the job done. And we are looking at players like Thomas Partey, who can step up. He played for Arsenal in the just ended season. Arsenal finished second. He did very well for them. You can talk about Fattah Issahaku, who led Leicester City to win the English Championship. He scored 6 goals this season. He's provided 13 assists. He's one of the best players as far as Ghana's attacking firepower is concerned. You can look at players like Antoine Semenyo, who has impressed in the Premier League. So we've got some really good players that Otuado can rely on for victory tonight.
Finally, what are your predictions?
Wow.
Ghana, 5-0 probably?
Well, before I predict, it's very difficult to predict beforehand. See, we had a disastrous AFCON campaign. We were booted out of the group stages. So heading to this game, the form of the Black Stars is really nothing to write home about. Like I said, the Malians are very, very good. They've lost just a game in their last 13 matches. When you look at the Black Stars, though, even in their last 5 matches, the Black Stars have not won a single game. So the Black Stars are on a jerky run of form. And that makes prediction very, very difficult. The players must just turn the pain they suffered at the AFCON into purpose. And with that, I think we can secure a win. And it will depend on the style of play as well. The Malians are very good. They possess the ball well. Otuado would also hope to possess the ball tonight. But this is a team that I don't think it will be prudent for us to fight fire with fire. If not, Mali would outgun Ghana. Okay, we just have to be purposeful when we have the ball and then take our chances. Kudus can score goals. Fattah Issahaku can score goals. Antoine Semenyo can score goals. Thomas Partey can also score long ranges as well. So if these players turn up in a right system with a right game plan, I think we can secure a narrow win. So probably a 1-0 win for the Black Stars.
Not a draw?
Well, a draw, no. Number one, I'm a Ghanaian. Number two, I think individually we've got the quality to be able to exploit the weaknesses of the Malian national team. When you look at them, the reason why the Mali national team is very strong is because of their defensive solidity. Okay, they've considered just 2 goals in their last 5 matches, so they are very strong defensively. But if you have players like Mohamed Kudus, who have scored against Arsenal, who have scored against Manchester United, who have scored against Manchester City in the Premier League, it tells you that we also have the attacking firepower that we can depend on for positive results tonight.
Well, we'll be looking forward to that game. You have to stick and stay with the Joy News channel. We're giving you full coverage of that game. My name is Faustina. So for you're watching News Desk, we're taking a quick breather. We'll be back with Business to Stay.
Thanks for joining us for business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications and the sister group, the EMI's Chamber of Ghana, have called for increased attention and support for the telecoms industry as well as the digital payments ecosystem. The two chambers have designed an elaborate plan to meet flag bearers of political parties to present the telecoms manifesto to them. Here's more.
As part of moves to improve its operations, the two chambers say they will engage all flag bearers of political parties with representation in parliament ahead of the elections. According to them, some of the issues they intend to look at is the repeal of the e-levy law, creating a conducive and supportive policy and regulatory environment and pushing for an enabling tax regime. It added that it will also advocate for strict laws to protect industry infrastructure, reduce costs of doing business and ease of doing business, as well as working to save players in the industry from indebtedness.
Now, MTN Ghana has commenced its annual employee volunteer program dubbed 30 Days of Yellow Care, which is aimed at impacting the communities they operate in. According to Chief Executive of MTN Ghana, Stephen Blewitt, this year's Yellow Care initiative is dedicated towards bridging the digital divide in the country.
Guided by the theme Education for Rural and Remote Communities, the 2024 Yellow Care Initiative will provide some schools with educational facilities in line with digitalization and technology. As part of the initiative, MTN will provide containerized labs, digital boreholes, and digital literacy workshops for some schools and communities. In an interview, Chief Executive of MTN, Stephen Blewitt, said the initiative showcases the company's commitment to bridging the digital gap in the country.
Well, the impact for society is positive because we're trying to do two things. One, we're trying to bring digital literacy. People need to understand the digital world, and people in far-flung communities, rural communities, are not exposed. So we need to teach them how to use digital things. And also, through our Connect and Quench boreholes, we bring essential things like water, but monitoring it via digital means to make sure the borehole's working, there's issues, we know when to fix it. And to turn it on and off, we have all that through digital.
Deputy Minister of Education, Reverend John Intim Fojo, commended MTN for their dedication towards improving education in Ghana.
That the sole meaning of life is to serve humanity. And that is the passion that is driving the Yellow Days of Care that MTN over the years have been embarking on. It is a period that hands and heart, as the CEO put it, Stephen put it, connect and step out of the office and go out there to make a difference in people's lives and in the lives of the community. And this passion, the next 30 days, are going to be celebrated. We're going to be going into hard to reach areas, and I'm particularly excited about the focus on education and education in rural areas, education in remote areas.
MTN's 30 Days of Yellow Care is a group-wide employee volunteerism program aimed at giving employees the opportunity to play an active role in community development projects.
And thanks for joining us for business. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. The news returns after this break.
Thanks for staying with us here on Newsdesk. Now, after months of being driven away by the stench of drains choked with filth at Aboabo Lorry Station, traders and drivers heave a sigh of relief as Joy News Filth Exhibition got the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to start a major cleaning exercise of the drains in the area. Joy News, in its recent Filth Exhibition series, uncovered the drain filled with filth and heavy waste deposits. There's more in this report by Clinton Yeboah.
Residents and traders at the busy Aboabo Old Railway Lorry Station in Kumasi lived in a demeaning sanitation environment engulfed by filth from a major drain in the trading space. Indiscriminate disposal of solid waste into drains in the area left the environment drenched in stench and squalor. This big drain was a collection of garbage, including food packaging, empty plastic bottles and glasses, rotten food scraps, and fruit peels dumped over time. The collected filth came from households in Roman Hill, Ashdown, and Abuabo. The Joy News team highlighted this situation in its flagship series, Filth Exhibition. Now traders, drivers, and residents beam with joy as the reportage yields momentous results. Officials of the KMA have begun a week-long cleanup and distilling of filth-infested drainages in some selected areas, including the Abuabo Lorry Station main drain. A garbage container now occupies the spot to contain trash. Traders, drivers, and residents hope the new development will improve sanitary conditions in the area.
Because we go in there, my car babafa. Do we say them penny fire na yepa? Say you be there when you not be so near the other big family form. And the end said,
whilst they admonish authorities to now tackle the crisis from the source, the traders are pledging to serve as watchdogs to deal with perpetrators.
Because I'm going to be from Basabe, Papuso Louis, Omabuaya, and I is first in Suta, and I say, Uncle Ford, you will be down by the channel, say, my high come up. I say, I fire wagon. Any man on one, I catch them, so I'm also reading without to my fetch chairman. Near Mbechino, near Fanico Police Station. And I saw Mujin in the Pine and I, the Kutano with the Bat Chamawa. The Nico Police are a patch already watching.
Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly Chief Executive Samuel Pine, in a recent interview with Joy News, disclosed the Assembly lost over 30,000 cedis to the clearing of waste from drains in the Wayek area in Akwetia Line. The area was also featured in the Filth Exhibition series. According to KMA Environmental Director Yao Ofori, these areas, along with other major areas in Adum, will be cleared in a week. He indicated the reportage and intensity of the situation fast-tracked the Assembly's response.
The setting of gutter and drains is part of our work, and we've been doing it every day, every time, especially during the rainy season. Now, we had a report that your outfit took a picture of what actually happened at the Abuabo. Basically, it's not expected for you to even call it before we do that. We'll be doing it, and then when the picture was showing around the television and other areas, we just move quickly to start doing the work. We are still on it. Because looking at the nature of the drain, in fact, it's not easy for us. It's not easy task. It was my thinking that we'll finish maybe today, so that we'll start working on the one at the Doom, which is another area. We don't want something to happen.
Coordinating Director of the KMA, Francis Jura Dako, says it is hard to identify the perpetrators, adding the Assembly is on its way to ensuring effective enforcement of environmental bylaws.
When you abet and you are arrested, you are put before the law court for the law to deal with you. Yeah. But just that you don't see these people dumping the waste into the drains. That's the only challenge. But like we said, we are also trying to make sure that at least we put these waste bins, the big ones that you see in a doom, we put them advantage points for people to put the waste separate. We have the two types, separate from the plastics and the other waste products. That's what we are trying to do with the project that we have bring on board called Horace.
Sorry, the project?
It's called Horace. Holistic Reinforcement Environmental Sanitation.
Okay. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Clinton Yabua.
And that's why we are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism, because when we speak, government listens. My name is Faustina. So for that's how we'll wrap up News Desk. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a pleasant morning as you enjoy the rest of our programs.